They've been hunting for as long as humans were a species.
Since the native days, hunting has been a good thing.
Kind of helps you feel like you have a sense of purpose and belonging again.
One chance in a lifetime.
It's because of hunters that they exist and that they're there for people to enjoy, for all Americans.
I want you to imagine the Sahara Desert with a foot of topsoil that is just enough to create some of the cleanest grass, some of the best cattle feeding grass in the entire world. And under that desert is the largest freshwater underground reservoir called the Ogallala Aquifer under there that's seeping to the surface, that in some spots we have hundreds of lakes that come up. So you have a desert with lakes.
On a day like this where there's no wind and it's sunny and cool and calm after a long night, is there a certain side of the hills that the deer like to be laying down?
In the morning like this, a lot of times they'll be feeding in the sun right here, but they'll be feeding to their bed. So yeah, it's shadowed over here. A lot of times they'll feed over this and get onto the backside. Because as the sun comes up here, it's going to shadow this side. So they'll feed here to start. They'll go over to this side to bed. And then they'll stay in the shade the rest of the day until the sun starts going down. Then they come back over onto this side.
Okay.
I think mule deer in this part of Nebraska probably are faring as good or better than they ever have. Farmers now tend to recognize that there's value in having mule deer around, say, whereas maybe 30, 40 years ago they were maybe a nuisance or a pest or just hanging around. I would say no doubt there's more nutrition today than there probably ever has been.
I just want to walk down and kind of use this as cover and peek off into them and see if there's anything bedded in there.
Okay.
They should start getting up pretty soon and they'll feed out in these fields, but let's go over here and just see what's back there. So this CRP grass, it's really tall. You can see how, some of this is taller than we are. The bucks, they'll bed in here a lot of times. And so a lot of times I'll glass these in the middle of the day or early afternoon when I get the sun at the right angle, because you'll catch antler tips just glistening in this, and that's how I find a lot of bucks. So we'll just sit here and glass for a little bit and see if we can pick an antler out of any of this.
Right, it seems like there's islands of this grass that in these more open areas.
Yeah, exactly.
They spot what looks like a good buck.
This area is so big and so vast, and the property ownership is so broken that the best way to move around in it is on the road network, where you're glassing from a vehicle. The animals are used to seeing them drive around. It's the best cover there is. Assuming that you have access to and permission to hunt, then the next question or the next movement is, figure out a way to approach those deer on foot.
The buck is about 400 yards away.
Yeah, that's when you really got to commit, set up, acquire your target, and don't sit around and delay, hey?
If I have you shooting standing up, it's a quick situation.
Yeah.
It's a mature buck, but not the type of old big buck they're seeking. They'll let him go to grow older.
So if you give those deer some security, they're fed well, chances are you're going to start growing more deer and probably bigger deer. And I think that's a trend here, is more deer and bigger deer, and people are interested in them, so they're protecting them. If there's any downside to it, is this part of Nebraska is all private, so very little public land. Doesn't mean there's not opportunities for people. It just means you gotta figure out how you're gonna hunt around this area. It's watched, people are paying attention, and I think that's good for mule deer. It helps people be honest, but you really do need to think about land ownership when you're here. Enjoy yourself. I mean, for sure you can come here and spot deer and take photos of them, but if you're gonna hunt them, you gotta plan to get some access.